Hello, welcome back to Crochet and Ballet. I'm so glad that you decided to watch this tutorial today. We're going to make this really cute little washcloth, the 4 dishes, a little scrubby dishcloth. It's really nice and I like it a lot. We're going to use this Scrubology cotton yarn from Yarn Bee. And let's go ahead and get started. We're going to make a slip knot and we're going to chain 15 to begin. So just make your slip knot, put your hook through like that, tighten it up. Don't tighten it up too tight because this scrubby yarn is always a little bit tougher to work with, so I don't like to tighten it up too much or you'll have a really hard time getting back in it on the second row. So go ahead and chain all the way to 15, and this is all that I use to wash my dishes with. I love it. They're washable, and you can just reuse them and they work great. So I really like using these little scrubby dishcloths that I like to make. So once you get your 15 chained, you're going to go back into the 3rd chain from the hook and you're going to half double crochet into that chain and all the way back across. So you're going to half double crochet a total of 13 times across the chain that you just made. So a half double crochet, again, if you need a refresher, is just you go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull it up, and go through all 3. So once you have your 13, you can count the posts just to make sure, because scrubby yarn is a little hard to count through the stitches at the top like you normally would. So once you have your 13, you're just going to chain up 1, turn your work, and row 2 is going to be double crochets across the top. So you're going to yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And you're going to do that all the way across for your double crochets. Half double crochets in the first row, double crochets on the second. So we're just going to go all the way across here. I really, like I said, I like working with scrubby yarn, but sometimes it is a little hard to see those stitches. But you just do the best you can. As long as you end up with 13 back across the top of the other 13, you'll be fine. But sometimes it is a little harder because of the way the yarn is scrubby. It's harder to tell exactly where everything is. But I'm sure you can do it and make it work and look great. So we're getting over here towards the end of the row. And just got to keep going. Make sure you have 13. Keep counting your head. It's not too high to count, so it's not as easy to lose track as if you were doing a big giant project. The last one is always a little bit harder to get in, so I'm going to make sure you get under 2 loops of it and not just 1, because you do want it to hold together well, especially if you're going to be washing dishes with it. So you pull that, get in there under 2 loops. That was 1. That last one is always a little bit harder. There you go, under 2, and then pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're on to row 3. So we're going to do the same thing we did for row 2, which is half double crochet across the whole thing, which is going to be 13 stitches. So go ahead and half double crochet across your whole row there, and I'm going to be half double crocheting across my row. Just make sure you get to 13 and try to go in those right stitches. It is a little bit, like I said, scrubby yarn. I love it, but it's not always the best to crochet with, but I love the projects that it makes, and I love that I'm able to do dishes and be able to wash my dishcloth and still have a scrubby little thing to use. So I really like using these. So we're just going to keep on going here. A few more stitches across. Alright. Here we are. Get it under both of those. Okay. And now we're going to chain 1 and turn. And at the end of each row, make sure that you chain 1 and turn. I want you to go ahead and make a total of 8 rows like this, a total of 8 rows. So go ahead, chain 1 and turn, and remember, do that at the end of each row, chain 1 and turn, and 13 across, double crochets, and I'm going to meet you back here in just a minute and show you what that should be looking like. Okay, let's finish up that row, and now here we are. This is what it should be looking like. We've got let's see how many we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows done. So there's 6 rows done here. That means do 2 more rows. So you have a total of 8 rows. So we're going to do 2 more rows. So chain 1, turn, and then double crochets across for 2 more rows. And then the last row, we're going to half double crochet across, just like we did the first row. We did half double crochet. So for the last row, you're also going to half double crochet. And you just want to make sure that you have 13 so that everything lines up and that you are good to go when we are going to crochet it together. You're going to want to make 2 of these flat rows. So just if you need to go back and look at this again, just watch it again a second time up to this point. Or just if you remember what you did and can look at your work and tell what you did, just go ahead and make one exactly the same so that you have two pieces that are exactly the same, and we're going to sew them together so it's just a little bit thicker cloth, and it works really well for scrubbing dishes and use it just as a little scrubby washcloth. So make sure you get 13 in that last row. That corner one I'm always having a hard time with. Get it in there. All right, there's my last half double crochet. So yours should look something like this. Okay, and then once you have 2 of them, I've already made my second one. So here it is. And so what you're going to want to do is just line those up, put them on top of each other, and you're going to single crochet these 2 pieces together. So you don't have to your yarn you can just leave attached. So what you're going to want to do is chain up 1, and I like to tuck in these little strings, just tuck them in on the inside, but chain up 1, and then you're going to go into the first side and then put your hook through the second piece and just pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. We're just single crocheting, and you're going to go through each stitch across. On this side it should be 13 stitches across, and you're just going to single crochet those together. Just line them up. It should be the same amount of stitches. And if for some reason it's not, I wouldn't worry about it too much with scrubby yarn. You can just kind of do 2 into 1 if you need to. If you're like, oh no, I had 1 too many or stitches on this one, just that's okay. Just make it work. Line it up, and you can make this work with scrubby yarn for a dishcloth. Nobody will be able to tell any different. But for this first side, it should be 13 across. So, and you just keep kind of checking, making sure you're lining it up. And as you go across, that should be how you do that. It's not super difficult. So just try to get in the stitches and line them up, and it'll look right. And then when we get to the corner, what we're going to do in order to help it turn and so it's not too tight around the corners, once you get to that 13th stitch there, which will be the corner, what you're going to do is you're going to actually single crochet 3 single crochet stitches into that same stitch. So I've already got 1 there. So we're going to go back into that same hole that I just did that one in. Or wait, no, I'm sorry. This is the 13th stitch. Go into the 13th stitch there, and we're going to go 1 and then 2 in that same stitch, and go back in the same stitch and make a 3rd one. That will help turn the corner so that it's not pulled too tight. And then you're just going to go straight down that row, and those are going to be like the side of your work, so it may not be exactly clear where you're supposed to have the stitches. Just do the best you can and line it up until you get to the next corner. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put 3 single crochet stitches in that corner, and then you can just do the other 2 sides. Go single crochet down the sides, 3 single crochets in the corner, and then that should be good. You'll have all of them lined up. If you Just kind of keep making sure it's lined up because your stitches won't be exact from the sides, okay? And then once you get to the end, do your last single crochet, and then you're just going to, I added one more single crochet in to help turn the corner, and then you're just going to slip stitch into the beginning. So just make sure you've done all 4 sides and do one to turn the corner, and then make that little slip stitch right there. Then what you're going to need to do is get some scissors, and you're going to cut your yarn. And you can pull it through one more time with your crochet hook just to kind of tighten it up. Then we're going to use our yarn needle, and we're going to sew the end in. If you tucked in the other ends, you should just have one end to sew in at the end. That's a lot of ends. But I do not like sewing in ends, so I try to crochet them into the project as much as I can, if possible. So just try to get that through there. Scrubby yarn's a little harder to get through the yarn needle for me, but then you're just going to go back and forth a few times, make sure that it's good and secure in there, that it's not going to come out, and you just go back and forth with it until you feel comfortable that it's tight in there and that it's going to stay and not pull out, and that it's hidden so it's not hanging down out of your project. That would not look finished. And then once you get it where you like it, that is really tight, pull through. There we go. Okay, that's going to be enough for me. So I'm going to cut the end off now. And we have this great little dishcloth. And I hope, sometimes I give these away as gifts, and sometimes I definitely use them myself, but I also give them as gifts sometimes. So I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, please do like and subscribe to our channel, and we appreciate you watching. And now you are ready to use your little scrubby, and you can wash dishes or clean whatever you want.